Hey everyone, here for week one's discussion post. So, this week's discussion post is all about evidence based practice, or EBP, and what its purpose is within exercise and sports science. Now, before class, I had heard of the term evidence based practice before, but I think this week has definitely helped me better understand how important it really is and how often it's actually going to be used in professional settings. Now, to me, evidence based practice means using the best available scientific research along with professional experience and the individual needs of the client or the athlete in order to make informed decisions. Now, I think one of the biggest misconceptions people have is that evidence based practice only means following research and research articles exactly as they are written. Now, however, I have learned that EBP is really about kind of combining research evidence with practical experience and just understanding the person you are working with in general. Now, in exercise and sports science, I think the overall purpose of EBP is to improve outcomes and help professionals make safer and more effective decisions. Now, there's so much information online today related to fitness, rehabilitation, supplements, and performance training that it can become difficult to determine what is actually supported by research and what is simply based on opinions or trends. Evidence-based practice helps filter through this misinformation and allows professionals to rely on methods that have been tested scientifically. I also think EBP is important because exercise science is constantly evolving. New research is always being published about training methods, recovery strategies, injury prevention, rehabilitation techniques, and even cardiovascular health. And if professionals continue using outdated methods simply because that's how it's always been done, then athletes and patients may not receive the best care possible. Evidence-based practice encourages professionals to continue learning and adapting throughout their careers. Now, one area where I personally see myself using evidence-based practice is in the future is within cardiac rehabilitation and stroke recovery. Mostly because this is kind of the project topic I picked for my final project this class. So I chose to focus on evidence-based practice, exercise rehabilitation following stroke and cardiac events, because I'm very interested in how exercise can improve recovery and quality of life in clinical populations. For example, if someone suffers a stroke or heart attack, exercise professionals and rehabilitation specialists need to understand which exercise interventions are supported by research and which methods are safest. Gosh, sorry, can't speak right now. With which methods are safest for the patient. Evidence-based practice could help determine the appropriate exercise intensity, frequency, and progression for someone recovering from cardiovascular complications. It can also help professionals understand how aerobic exercise resistance training, and mobility work contribute to long-term recovery outcomes. I also see EBP a lot just in my professional career. Currently, I'm a personal trainer. I work at a private gym with a multitude of clients ranging from 17 all the way up to 79. So those clients get treated very differently, clearly. And so being able to kind of research what works for different demographics, different people, different injury histories, all those things kind of play into even just my daily job and just how I'm approaching each client and each class differently based on kind of the clientele I'm dealing with and who's on my schedule for the day. And then the final reason I wrote down in which I think EBP is so important is in the area, just like I was kind of talking about, is just because every patient is different. Now, two people may both experience a stroke, for example, but their physical limitations, cardiovascular health, age, and recovery timelines may look completely different. Now, evidence-based practice helps provide a framework for decision-making while still allowing professionals to individualize programs on the patient's needs. I also think EBP will influence my future decision-making processes because it encourages professionals to think critically instead of automatically accepting claims at face value. Now, in the fitness industry especially, there are so many trends and social media influencers promoting workouts, recovery devices, supplements, or training methods that might not actually be supported by any strong evidence. By using EBP, professionals can evaluate the quality of the research and determine whether something is truly effective before recommending it to athletes or clients. At the same time, I do think there are challenges involved with implementing evidence-based practice. One challenge is that research studies do not always perfectly match kind of real-world situations. For example, research may be conducted in a highly controlled environment using very specific populations. But professionals often work with people who have different backgrounds, injuries, schedules, and limitations. Excuse me. Because of this, professionals need to learn how to apply research findings appropriately instead of treating every study as a perfect answer. Another challenge is staying current with research. Exercise science changes rapidly, and it can be difficult for coaches, trainers, and clinicians to consistently review new studies while also managing their daily responsibilities. I think one strategy to overcome this challenge is continuing education. Professionals can attend conferences, complete certifications, read journals, and collaborate with other professionals to stay informed about current evidence and the best practices. I also think accessibility can sometimes be a challenge because not everyone has access to a research database or the ability to interpret scientific studies correctly. Some research articles are very technical and difficult to understand, as I'm sure we all know from getting our master's in exercise science, especially without any experience reading scientific literature. And because of this, I think education and research literacy are very important parts of evidence-based practice. Now, looking towards the future, I think EBP will continue becoming even more important in exercise and sports science. Now, technology is rapidly changing the field, especially with wearable fitness trackers, heart rate monitors, GPS systems, recovery tracking tools, and even AI. These technologies provide large amounts of data that can help professionals make more informed decisions regarding training loads, recovery, and the rehabilitation progress. For example, wearable technology can help monitor heart rate responses and physical activity levels during cardiac rehabilitation. This could allow exercise professionals to track progress more accurately and make evidence-based adjustments to exercise programs over time. I also think AI and data analysis tools may eventually help professionals interpret research faster and identify individualized treatment or training recommendations more efficiently. Overall, I believe the purpose of evidence-based practice is to improve decision-making, increase safety and effectiveness, and ensure that professionals are using the best available evidence to support athletes, patients, and clients. I think EBP is especially important in exercise science because the field directly impacts health, rehabilitation, and physical performance. Now, as I continue developing professionally, I hope to keep using and use even more EBP to provide more effective exercise programming and rehabilitation strategies for the populations that I work with now and hope to work with in the future. Thank you for listening. I look forward to hearing all of y'all's thoughts and perspectives on evidence-based practice as well.